Now let's start by creating a EC2 instance, and we will be installing Nginx using user data, and we will be using it on the HTTP web server. Okay, let's start with the EC2. So EC2 is basically a server in the cloud. So firstly, what happens in your system when you install something on localhost, and you can run it on your browser, but cloud give you flexibility where you can run it on anywhere, everywhere in the world. So it's basically public. You can create your server just with a click of button, and you can install anything, you can run any application you want. So that's why cloud is very powerful. So today we are creating a EC2 instance. We will be installing Nginx server, that is a proxy server that is widely used across uh, all the developers. Okay, so let's start with creating EC2 instance. So as you can see, this is the console, or you can say the home page of AWS console. On the right side, you can see the name of the person, name of the account holder we have, and here you can see that is the reason we are right now. So AWS provide a multiple reasons. In different reasons we have different different reason we have different sectors. You can see it's like Mumbai, Osaka. So in Asia Pacific there are multiple regions, in America there are multiple regions. So next question is why we use regions, why AWS use regions. So there are two things. Firstly, AWS uses regions so that, let's suppose a person who is sitting in India, he wants to access anything. So if our server will be in India, let's suppose in Mumbai, then it will be easily accessible by the person, and the latency will be very less. Okay, so that's why we use servers and reason specifically on different reasons in AWS. And second thing is, like, some government give you option, mandatory option, that you have to use it your server in a specific reason. So if you want to use that services, or you want to provide services to that customer, then you have to use the reason specified by the government. Okay. Okay, so now let's jump into EC2 and create a EC2 instance. So now when I clicked on EC2, as you can see, there are a lot of things here. I will be explaining it a little more about this. What are these things? Okay, so let's go there and just launch a new instance. So now you can see there's a launch instance option. You can directly click on instances running and then launch the instance, and you can directly, or you can directly click on launch instance to launch it. So I am directly clicking on here, launch instance. So when you click on launch instance, you will provided bunch of options. Okay, so let's start with first, what is name and tags. So name is the name of the server or the machine you are using. Tags is for tagging purpose. So tag is used for tagging a specific thing. Let's suppose we are using a prod environment or a development environment, then you have to segregate the machines. When we have a lot of machines, there we use tagging option so that we can search it based on the tags. Okay, on the right side you can see this is the summary. So right now we haven't gone through the process, so it is showing the brief summary. When we will create all these things, we will add these things, then summary will be updated automatically. Okay, now let's give a name. Example machine, or let's give Nginx server. Nginx server. Okay, now this is AMI. What is AMI? As you can see, the full form is Amazon Machine Image. It is a image. So when there is a operating system runs on images. So images is basically a set of pre-install things which is used to launch a operating system. In our case, we are using Amazon Linux, which is, as you can see, free tier eligible. Free tier eligible, that means AWS provide you 12 months of free tier when you create account. So you can use it in the free tier limits and AWS won't charge you any money. It is for encouraging people who are new to the cloud so that they can play around things. Now let's go to description. So that is the name of the Amazon machine image, that is a description. And then there is an architecture. Architecture, there are two type of architecture, that is x86 and ARM. x86 basically a Intel processor which is widely used everywhere, and second is ARM, that is uh, architecture used by AWS Graviton. So they use AWS Graviton ARM based architecture. Both can be used. It's depend upon the application which is more suitable. Then we can use based on these two architecture. And also the ARM architecture is cost has little less. So some company use it for cost saving purpose. Okay. So now let's deep dive into instance type. So we have lot of instance type. If I click on all generation, and you can see there are a lot of instance type. So sometime what happens, we need a certain processor. Let's suppose in our system we have CPU and RAM. So RAM is memory and CPU so is for computation purpose. So AWS divide instance type into different families like T2, T3, T4, that we will study later on. What are the families used by EC2 and how it can be beneficial for us while choosing our instance. So for now we are using T2 micro because it's free tier eligible and our workload is not much high. We one CPU and 1 GB memory is enough for us to run just a Nginx application. So we are clicking on T2 micro. Now here we go. Here is the thing. So here is a key pair. So as this is your personal cloud, is your personal server. So when you want to log in the system, log in the instance, you need certain key for the security purpose. If this not the case, then anyone can log in your system, then that is a security risk. That's why in cloud we have key pair. In EC2 we have key pair. So how does work? You have to create a new key pair. Let's give a name. Any name you can give, Nginx key. So we are using RSA key pair type, and important thing is .pem and .ppk. So .pem is used with OpenSSH. OpenSSH is a application, but we don't need application, that is pre-installed in all the system. So system using Mac, Linux and Windows 10, later than Windows 10, can use .pem file. But if you're using Windows 7 or any lesser version XP, then you have to use .ppk and install putty, and then you have to can do SSH in the machine. So because I'm using Mac right now, so I'm using .pem and that's it. So I'm creating key pair. So it will download a key pair. We can use it later on when we SSH in the machine. Keep it safe because it will not come next time. It will be saved in a machine, but AWS doesn't allow to download key pair once it is downloaded in a machine. That's one time download. So keep it safe. Okay, let's go to the network setting part now. So we have network subnets. We will be discussing on this detail about networking. So for now, you can see auto assign public IP is enabled. So there are In all the machines, EC2, AWS provide you a public IP that is auto assigned by AWS. Okay, so that will be public IP, and that will be anyone can access this IP and run the application and use the application. We will be running that. We will be running Nginx, and we will be checking how it is beneficial for us. Okay, now comes here to firewall or security group. So security group is basically a shield for the instance. So that no one can log in the instance. So there is a shield which is created where we can use the firewall rules to control the traffic, how traffic can come in the instance and how we can use it. Okay, so for now, as you can see, allow SSH from anywhere. That means anyone can SSH your instance, can log in the instance, provided if they have that key pair. Okay, anywhere, if you can see IP 0000, that means from anywhere. You can restrict the IP, you can restrict it custom, you can restrict my IP, anything you can restrict it. Okay, so second option is allow HTTPS from the internet. That means if your application is running on HTTPS, then that application, if someone want to access over the internet, over the browser, then they can access it using HTTPS. If you check on this, then you can access it using the internet. So we have to enable HTTP, not HTTPS, because we are not using HTTPS for now, because we are just running a server with HTTP. Okay, now come to the storage part. In the storage part, there is a different type of volumes. So when you click on advanced and then expand it, as you can see, the default size AWS is giving you 8 GB. You can increase it from any size you want. You can increase it. That is the volume type. So there are different type. They are using SSD, GP3, GP2. So we are using GP3. And delete on termination, what does that mean? So delete on termination means if you delete the machine, the EBS volume will be also deleted, because every machines have a volume where they can store data. So if you want to protect the instance from the volume from being deleted, then you can delete on termination. You can click on no. In that case, AWS will not delete the volume. It will only delete the server, not the volume. For now, we are doing yes, because we don't have any critical workload, so we can delete the EBS also. And as you can see, encrypted is not encrypted. We can encrypt it using AWS default keys, AWS/EBS. So AWS provide you encryption on the EBS and all the other volumes, so that it should be encrypted and no one can access it without or any hacker can access it using some methods. So that's why encryption, I am enabling this encryption. We can enable or disable it, that's our choice. Okay, now go to the advanced details. Here I don't have to touch anything here. You will deal this later on. Now if you go scroll down at the last, as you can see, user data. So user data means if your machine, if your EC2 instance is launching, so on the first time it will run certain command. So it will run certain command. I'm just pasting my bash script to run Nginx. So what I'm doing it, I'm installing it, yum install -y, yum install -y Nginx, systemctl start Nginx, systemctl enable, and we are just saying hello world. So this is the script. It will run only the first time when your machine will be created. Okay. So let's go to the summary part. What we have done. So number of instances 1. We are using Linux CMI. Machine type is t2.micro. We are creating a security group and storage volume is 8 GB. Okay. So we are good to go. Let's launch the instance. Okay. We will wait till instance is launched. So now it's successfully launched. You can see it's in the pending state. AWS is launching a server on the backend, and you will see a server in just a seconds. So it's a very, as you can see, the power of cloud just started. So AWS data center is in North Virginia right now here, and just click of button, we created a server with our choice, and we can run application here. So isn't that interesting? Now I can see the instance state is running, but also I need to wait for certain time because it is initializing some background checks. As you can see, status check is initializing. You can click here and you can check system checks. So it is running some checks on the system if it is correct or not. Like if there is any impair or something which is not working, then the AWS will stop the instance, or you will say that okay, let's create a new instance. So that's the mandatory thing. Once when we create the instance, the system check will be there initializing, and instance check is also initializing. So we have to wait for some time and just refresh. Now you can see it's running still. Now it's in this initializing state. We have to wait. Still it is, till then it is running. So it is still initializing. Okay, now I can see the instance checker passed. 2/2 checks passed and instance is in a healthy state. Okay, now let's go everything detail one by one. So as you can see, this is the instance summary we have. So AWS has assigned you a public IPv address that is random, and there's a private IPv address that is only accessible inside the internet, inside our network, not outside. And we have a private IP DNS name. As you can see, instance type that is t2.micro assigned at launch. Key pair, we have created the key pair. So that is assigned by default by the AWS. Okay. So AWS by default provide you monitoring. You can check CPU utilization, network in out. So by default, AWS provide you these standard things. You can check for health and monitoring your EC2. I will be covering this in detail. That is the part of AWS CloudWatch. Okay. Click on security. This is the security group we have created. So as you can see, inbound rules. What does inbound rule means? Inbound rule means any person, any network who is trying to access our instance. So what we have provided, we have provided a TCP protocol port 80, that is HTTP 000 source means anyone can access our instance using port 80. So port 80 is where our server is running right now. So we have provided access to anyone so that we can browse that application on the browser. Port 22 means SSH. So we have also allowed SSH, but the point here which need to be noted is that the SSH can be only done using the key pair. So cannot be done randomly. If anyone has private IP or our public IP, no one can access without the key pair. So that is the AWS security, that is AWS giving you. And outbound rules is all. That means AWS by default gives you outbound all, that means the instance can access the internet on, if you want to download anything inside the instance, then outbound rule is that it can go to internet and it can download, fetch the things, and it can download in the instance. That's why we have done it all port range all, and destination is 000/0. That means all. Okay, now let's see our server. So click on copy this public IP, go to new tab and paste it. So let's see if server is running or not. As we can see, we are getting response hello world from IP this. So this is the private IP of the instance. How can you check that? If you can see private IP 172.3126.229. Okay. Also, that is the DNS name, the same. So as we created the script, so it will go to the index HTML and create this script. Create just line, write this line, and that's it. We have created instance with Nginx running. Next part we'll be discussing about how to do SSH and install certain applications inside the instance. Thank you very much.